Over the world's broken corpse, a vulture looms. It picks over humanity, ripping, shredding, and devouring. Resources, life, even hope, all have been consumed. By the year 2150, Vulture Corp is the most powerful megacorporation to rule over the Earth's bleak and barren landscape. It has exploited rising sea levels and a heating globe to create a nation of indentured servants, much like their contemporaries, but is distinguished by its utter ruthlessness and active malevolence. Despite the seemingly overwhelming nature of this megacorporation, it will be challenged by the players. Players will have a chance to return hope to this desolate world by fighting against this behemoth. Ex-Human: Fool's Paradise is a narrative-centered game set in a dystopian future. Through its weaving an epic storyline, it explores themes of fellowship, challenge, and fantasy. The game immerses players, connecting with them using not just the narrative, but also key immersive mechanics: stress, items and crafting, hacking, and stealth versus combat. These mechanics immerse the player in the choices and experiences this world demands, allowing and at times even forcing them to see the world through William and Veronica's eyes. Our team aims to create the legend of Dr. William Foster and Veronica. Despite inhabiting a cruel and hopeless world ruled by near omnipotent villains, they will together find the strength to overthrow their unjust despots and spark hope in the world's vast landscape of despair. Through the sheer depth of our characters, players will become attached to them and their story, caring for them as if they knew them in person. Players will be left with a simple message: despair, no matter how strong, can always be overcome by the bond one forms with another. But the despair here is strong. Neo-feudalism is the law of the land, as corporations have taken the place of governments, and people are no longer citizens, but employees, housed in massive ecologies that dot the landscape. Vulture Corp, the greatest and most feared, steals from rivals and pursues expansionism. In contrast stands Foster Technologies. Though equal in their expansionism, Foster's goals are scientifically oriented, advancing human evolution to be able to cope with this unforgiving world. Locked in a battle for supremacy, these two corporations are constantly embroiled in conflict, and for years, Foster Technologies has thwarted sabotage by Vulture Corp's agents. Vulture Corp's next target is the Foster Tech Ecology, where a scientist, Dr. William Foster, resides. Deep in its research facilities, he works for his namesake corporation, researching knowledge imperative to humanity's survival. Meanwhile, Veronica, hired by Vulture Corp, is prowling around looking to steal the knowledge at the behest of her corporate masters. Unfortunately for Veronica, these corporate masters intend to kill her. After silently infiltrating William's lab and robbing him of his life's work, Veronica slips into an empty room and hands off the precious bounty to a waiting Vulture Corp drone. It is only when Veronica feels the prick in her neck that she realizes she has been betrayed, and a lethal dart has already begun to spread one of Vulture Corp's deadliest poisons through her system. Soon, it will kill her. Meanwhile, finding his notes missing, William has begun to suspect that something is wrong. A suspicion which is emphatically confirmed when an explosion rips through the research complex, leaving him pinned under the wreckage. Soon, a weakened but able Veronica comes upon him, and as she follows an unfamiliar instinct to help the stranger in need, a fateful bond is formed. Though built initially on need, this bond develops into a true camaraderie only through challenges that force the pair to rely on each other, accomplishing together what they could not achieve alone. Players thus take control of William and Veronica, either alone or with a partner, in this co-op narrative action-adventure game. With the seamless co-op mode, players feel the magnitude of the fellowship shared between William and Veronica. As an action-adventure game, it will allow players to experience immense challenges in all aspects of play. One of these challenges is stress. Stress will be a vital aspect of the challenges players will confront. Stress is the central mechanic for bringing players into the personas of William and Veronica, as well as adding challenge to every moment of gameplay. Stress ticks up throughout the game, spending time in high-danger areas, failing at important tasks, and botching stealth or combat all cause a character's stress to increase, and as it does, it creates minor effects that influence the player's interactions with the game. This is subtle and neither entirely good nor bad, but has a definite effect. High levels of stress can heighten senses. This makes it easier to hear enemies farther off, but harder to figure out what is happening near you. It can also cause minor cursor drift during periods of inaction, additional difficulty on focus tasks, and even increased reaction speeds. Stress is the lens through which the player is shown William and Veronica's world, and overlies all the other mechanics. In nearly every situation, if a task is executed extremely well, the character's stress levels can be decreased. The one area where this is least likely to apply, of course, is the one that brings the character closest to death: combat. The dystopian world in which the game takes place is cold and unforgiving, and dealing with enemies like robotic guards will be the same. Combat gives players a chance to challenge themselves, either with highly stressful and often perilous hand-to-hand combat, or by finding alternative routes. While different routes are available in different levels, the player can reliably perform stealth takedowns of guards to reduce their overall stress, or sneakily maneuver around the enemies. Of course, there is another way to approach combat. Going in guns blazing is apt to draw unwanted attention, and is often still high risk, but William is able to use his technological knowledge to craft weapons and gear with resources gathered throughout the journey. The weapons and gear crafted in this way can help to level the playing field between the player and the enemy NPCs. Even so, crafting an ex-human will serve to challenge the player. Materials are scarce, and collecting them will sometimes be an arduous task. Players will not just decide how to use their resources, they will decide whether it's worth the risk to get them. Although players can find common materials in most corners of the world, William's most powerful tools will require advanced materials that can only be found within Vulture Corp territories, and from Vulture Corp's own robots. Crafting can only be done at workstations, and nearly all of these are under enemy control. Crafting anything will be a risk, especially in an area with enemies nearby, which can cause stress to build. The constant reminders of scarcity and danger in the crafting system help the player to feel the oppressive power of the corporations, enhancing the challenge for players. Since William is a scientist, he has the technological knowledge to craft gear and weapons, while Veronica does not. However, anything he crafts can be shared with Veronica, reinforcing the sense of fellowship between the two. While the futuristic items that can be crafted will help to create a sense of fantasy, there will still exist a disparity in power between the equipment of stronger enemies and even the best things William can put together, conveying a sense of helplessness that is the norm in this world. But William is not the only one with a special skill set. Veronica can skillfully hack doors to reach inaccessible areas, cameras to spot enemies in hard-to-see areas, computers for clues and world information, enemy robots for use during combat, and enemy turrets for defensive combat strategy against the aggressors. Hacking allows the opportunity for the player to make different choices based on their skill advancement, to take different paths to achieve the same goal, or to find crucial clues that will help them as they progress. Players will collect items to upgrade Veronica's skills using clues found around the environment, which hold information to the item's locations. By the story's midpoint, the poison in Veronica's system will begin to kill her. William's attempts to revive her using his now recovered research are successful, but destroy Veronica's human body, converting it into a nanite swarm. In her nanite form, Veronica's abilities will increase, forming shields, reaching high areas, and remote hacking are just a few of her newfound powers. The player will feel a sense of fantasy as they enter Veronica's character as a hacker in a dystopian future. Discovery as they use her abilities to explore and discover, and fellowship as she helps William find his way through even the most difficult areas. Ex-Human Fool's Paradise is a narrative about the incredible power of human connection. Ultimately, it is a story that not only challenges players to embrace fellowship and camaraderie, but demands it if they wish to survive. Because in Vulture Corp's domain, there are only two choices: die alone and become carrion, or work together and become legend.